All right, welcome to the Undrafted Hockey Fan YouTube page. Today we're talking about the St. Louis Blues and some of the directions that I think they're going in, especially going into this offseason. We're doing a preview today and some of their offseason moves as well. So I also want to emphasize some of the things that they did at the trade deadline because I thought it was important to tell us the direction they were going to decide to go and some of the things that my perspective on it because I'm a little confused on what Bill Armstrong is trying to do, but I do see some of the pieces that he could be doing. I just want to know the long-term plan with what the St. Louis Blues are. So let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like, subscribe if you want to see more. I am doing all 32 teams. Now, most people start A to Z. We are going Z to A, and we did our Winnipeg, Toronto, Tampa, Washington, Vancouver. I think I'm missing one in Vegas. So we are now into the St. Louis Blues. So let's just jump right into it. We'll jump over to their cap-friendly page. As you can see right here, their current cap space, they got a little under $300,000, so not much to work with, which to me is one of the concerning parts. Although their deadline cap space, so they have $1.3 million. There's not much to work with. Is the issue. So what you typically would do is if you're a playoff team, right? Like maybe you spend up to the cap, and you try to acquire guys as you can. You maybe move out some other guys. Or if you're a rebuilding team, you have a little extra so that you can bring on those contracts and accept draft picks, which is a lot of what St. Louis did last year, which I thought they were great moves with the asset they were able to pick up. But again, I don't know the direction that the St. Louis was trying to go. And just to go over some of the trades that they did lose, or not the trades they lose, the people that they had lost. Ryan O'Reilly picking up a first-round pick in that, a couple AHL players. And moving over, Noel Acciari as well as Josh Pilar. They also sold off on Ivan Barbashev, getting first round pick Zach Dean from the Vegas Golden Knights, which is a good prospect pickup. Jakub Vrana moved, just simply cap dumped by the Red Wings to move Jakub Vrana, giving him an opportunity, as well as picking up Kevin Hayes for a 6th round pick, which we did hear about him potentially wanting to get moved, and picking him up. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight real quick is that the St. Louis Blues did pick up a lot of, as well as moving off Vladimir Tarasenko as well. So one of the key things I want to highlight with the St. Louis Blues, which I thought they were going to be utilizing, that they had 3 first-round draft picks this past 2023 draft in the first round, and I honestly thought they were going to be using those to move out and get some more established players, but they ended up picking for all 3 of their picks. Here's their first-round pick they pick up from the Dallas pick from the New York Rangers, of course, first-round pick right here from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and here's another first-round pick, Zach Dean, again, a different one. But they also have their own as well they used and they picked. So to me, it was a little confusing. They're actually going in more of a younger direction. And so I'm really interested on what they're going to be doing because those were assets they could use to pick more established players to try and go from more of, like I said, a playoff team. But again, they wanted to go a little younger and they actually didn't use them for that. So I'm really interested in what they're going to be doing. So a couple of the things that they did do, like I said, they had some losses, but they also some pickups in it as well. So, right. So going over here again, they picking up the Kevin Hayes, as well as in their free agency, not doing much in free agency, which was surprising to me. Only pick up Oscar Sundqvist for a 1-year deal. He did play with St. Louis prior to being traded in the Nicoletti deal, where Oscar Sundqvist, Jake Wallman, and a 2nd-round pick were sent to the Detroit Red Wings, as well as I think Letty in a 4th, I believe it was, or just Letty. So for sure he was gone. And then of course signing Dalibor Dvorsky, one of their first round pick that they had this past draft. So good for them. Supposed to be a great center player. So jumping over, I want to talk about their depth and everything. We'll go to line combinations instead, that will also include as well. So again, this is kind of where I'm not super impressed with some of the players because the thing is the way the St. Louis Blues won, in my belief, and what I've heard as well, is that they didn't have superstars. They had players that are very good, but they weren't the all-stars. They weren't your point per game players. They were very good players. They had 4 lines as they rolled. So to me, these are good players. These are probably great players, but they're not all-stars. This is not an all-star team. And when they won the Stanley Cup, when they did, it was not an all-star team. So you have Buchnevich, Thomas, Kyrou. That's going to be a great setup. I like that. Brandon Saad is a good player, a little older. Braden Schen's awesome player. Kakanyemi, though, was a waiver pickup. So your waiver pickup playing on the second line. Why was he on waivers in the first place then? That's questionable to me. I like I like Jake Neighbors. Kevin Hayes is good, a little bit older, but still a great player, a good veteran leadership there as well. Jakob Verana as well. I think he's, we knew he was going through the player assistance program, so of course I think he can bounce back. I mean, he was a phenomenal 5-on-5 player, 5v5 player. So I think he's a lot of potential. I'm actually bummed that he didn't work out in Detroit, and I'm really hopeful that he gets the second opportunity with St. Louis Blues. So Torkachenko, young guy, I like that. I love me some Oscar Sundqvist, honestly. He's a great penalty killer. Love him. He's an all situations guy. Really great fill-in. Sammy Blais as well is fine. Nick Leddy, I think, was paid too much for what he does. Colton Parayko's awesome. Troy Cruz, awesome. Justin Falk, I have been corrected. I was incorrect. I thought they were going to trade him, but he had so many points, and I apologize. I have learned from my mistakes. Thank you, St. Louis Blues, for correcting me. So, Scandella and Bertuzzi are fine. Again, these are all just fine. But these aren't superstars. They're players. They're good players. They're just not superstars, in my opinion. And then, of course, you have your superstar goalie who won them the Stanley Cup back when they won it in 2019. I believe Jordan Binnington, and then Hofer, of course, looking to take that spot. Definitely going to be a backup. He was the third goalie last year, and now taking that second line, their second spot. Binnington really just dropping the ball last year. But going over some of the stats, actually, we'll start with goalies anyways. Let's just go to goalies. Here we go. So we had Binnington playing 61 games, a sub 900 save percentage, 3.3 goals above average, just a straight 500 record. Not what you want out of a goalie you're paying $6 million a year for the next 3 years. So, yeah, you definitely want that. So 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh, it's 4 years. Never mind. My apologies. And Hofer getting in his couple of games above, slightly below average. I think .907 was the average last year for save percentage for goalies. So a little bit better on a winning record, of course, similar goals against average to Binnington, but definitely in a lot less games with being 6. But they do have him as an RFA till 2025, so hopefully he can prove to be a good backup goalie. Again, he's got age on his side. He's only 23 years old, so I'm going through some of the stats. This is where I'm talking about that I wasn't super impressed, and it may be a down year for the St. Louis Blues in general, but it is slightly concerning, I would say. I mean, there are some players that do stand out, right? You have your Jordan Kyrou, 73 points in 79 games. You have your Robert Thomas, 65 points in 73 games. But then you have Brandon Saad up there, 37 points in 71 games. What are we doing, guys? Yeah, let's move him up. Let's move Pavel Buchnevich up. Get some more scoring on this line, right? That's where my opinion, knock Brandon Saad down a little bit, right? Kevin Hayes, good pickup especially for his age, 31 years old, a little bit older at this point, and on a decent deal with, I think he's half retained, I believe it was. Either way, he's not too expensive for his second line center role. 54 points in 81 games. We like that. Kapanen, half point per game. We like that. That's good. That's a good pace for him, especially for a waiver claim. Getting that second opportunity, and then what they can end up doing is they can probably end up flipping him at the deadline because he's a UFA at that point, right? And then again, you're seeing not a lot of depth scoring. Braden Shen is a good player. It locked him up long term. We like that. 65 points in 82 games. That's a great pace. I like that. This is good center depth they have here with Thomas, Hayes, Shen. Honestly, with how old, I mean, they're both Shen and Kevin Hayes a little bit older. That's impressive point production. I really like both. That's good center. Honestly, you might even want to move, if you moved Buchnevich up to the first line and Saad down to the third line, maybe move one of these guys. I don't know, man. That'd be sweet. Too bad none of them play center. Anyways, so just one of those options. Again, in your fourth line, Torpachenko, we really want to see more of a breakout year from him. Him being drafted in the second round in 2019. So we want to see more of a breakout for him. He's only 24, so still we'd like to see more out of him, right? It's 19 points in 69 games. So, but we'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are on the forwards. They have good players. They're just not. There's no superstar, and there's not enough depth scoring to say, hey, we can roll 4 lines. That's where I'm issue. If you're not gonna have a first line guys that are going to be so dynamic. Are going to put up 100 points or something like that. You need to have that depth scoring. You need your third line to look like a second line. You need your fourth line to look like a third line. You need to have your first line. Maybe it's not the top, right, but it's a good first line. You should have a first line, 2 second lines, and a third line. So you have the depth there, right? That's the thought process, right? And you shouldn't have a solid top 2 defense core. You should have a top 6 guys that you can roll through 20 to 22 minutes each, right? Somewhere around there. That's how you want to see it with your depth or with your D and everything. So again, moving down to the defense here. Again, this is what a down year for both Leddy and Cole Parayko. Mind you, if they're playing on the first pair, playing these high minutes, 23 minutes right here, you can see for Parayko, 23 for Falk. Falk really stood out in this case, 50 points to 82 games. But what happened with Parayko? 27 and 79. We need to see more out of a guy who is making $6.5 million a year, and that's coming to the issues. They have a lot of like mid guys, so you have like the 5.8, right? Good point production for 5.8, by the way, over a point per game. I would like that, but you have these 6.5s. You have a lot of like mid-tier contracts or a larger mid contracts, right? Like we see with like Florida, who paid $10.5 million for a Matthew Tkachuk. He puts up 100 points, right? He's a grinder, he's a go-getter, he's a game changer, right? You have an Austin Matthews who's going to pot you 40, right? $13 million. It's a lot of. By the way, he just signed his contract today, which is pretty exciting. But he's making $13.5 million next year. So that's what you pay for this production, right? And to me, this is okay production, but there's not these like dynamic guys, right? I mean, your highest goal scorer was Jordan Kyrou at 37, and then the next closest guy is Buchnevich at 26. It's an 11 goal difference. You need that throughout the whole lineup. You need double digits at least for all these guys, and in the 15 to 20 goal range. I think when they won the Stanley Cup, they had like 11, 20 goal scorers. That's what you need. That's the type of depth that you need on a playoff team. So again, going through these, again, not super impressed. Don't love the Cali Rose and don't love the Marco Scandella. I don't know much of their game though. Although this plus 19 for Cali Rosen is plus minuses and everything, but it is notable when it's that high. Which when you're seeing a minus 26 from Torrey Krug and a minus 19 by Colton Parayko. This 19 plus or minus for Cali Rosen is much more impressive. We like that. So and at 15 minutes, so not a ton of playing time, but definitely I like that. That's a good bottom pair guy. I like that. So and of course they're gonna have these guys break out. Here's your extras, by the way. Oscar Sundqvist, Nathan Walker. I really like Nathan Walker. I hope he gets more playing time. And Bertuzzo, he's fine. He's an injury right now. Looks like. Yeah, or he hopefully bounce back. Of course, again, they picked up a couple of people like Zach Dean, who from the Vegas Golden Knights. So some of these guys, young guys, might be able to break out and everything. But we'll see. I'm really curious to see what happens with this. I'm excited to see what Toronto or St. Louis does. To me, I'm still a little concerned. I'm gonna go over their player contracts. So this is where I was talking about I don't know with the direction at the start of this video. I don't know what the direction the St. Louis Blues are trying to go with. But they can start to make they're going to have to start to flip some of these players and start bringing in some more dynamic depth and some dynamic, like some, not excitability, but I want them to bring in like these bigger guys or like a little more solid again, that if you're going to get into the playoffs with a Blues team like this, where you're not going to take us on a superstar, you're not going to take on, like you need that depth, full four running 4 lines, right? So in my opinion, right, you take Kapanen, take Kapanen, retain half, flip him, get a second or first round pick maybe. If Jakub Vrana pops up, right, either re-sign him to a good deal, maybe you get him for like a 3x3 or like a 4 million for 3 years, something like that. I think that would work out really well for the St. Louis Blues, right? You want a couple of these guys pop off, Torchenko. Sammy Blais, you like a little bit more. Probably he is who he is, right? At this point. But for me, like you really want to start to flip some of these guys, or you go all in on this and you bring in guys that are going to be the long-term fix, right? You could also, if you want to move out Scandella at 33 years old, you can move out him. Bertuzzo and bring in some of these young guys as well. I mean, there is options. I mean, you're stuck with Parayko and Falk and Krug. I mean, look at these guys. And Letty, your top four is essentially just rounded out right there. So I don't know what their directions are going to be doing. To me, this isn't a Stanley Cup team. Again, it's maybe a wild card team. But of course, the West is a little bit weaker than the East, in my opinion. So I don't know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are on this team. I'm still, like I said, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that this is a playoff team. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see what they do. I have a lot of faith in Bill Armstrong, but I just don't know what the plan is. And I don't know if St. Louis Blues fans do. So if you know what the plan is, let me know if you're a St. Louis Blues fan. If you're not, comment anyways. Let me know what your thoughts are. Tell me I'm wrong, and I'll catch up with you soon. Love you. Hit like, subscribe, and catch you later.